Okay, so I'm back here with Trace Barnett, the bitter socialite, and we are making the tomato heirloom pie.
We are. This is just like summer in a pie dish. It is so delicious.
All right.
So let's start by talking about our tomatoes.
Okay.
So first things first, use really good ripe tomatoes. You're going to need about 4 or 5 for this recipe.
Okay.
A trick, always use a good serrated knife to cut your tomatoes, because what it does, if you use just a regular like sharp chopping knife, that's going to smush the tomato down. Also, you're risk cutting your finger, and also you can control the thickness with a good serrated knife. So you're going to want to cut those in about 1/4 inch thickness.
Okay.
And what I've done here is these have been sitting for about an hour.
Okay.
Now you can do this half an hour to an hour before. Take your tomatoes, put them in a colander in your sink or over a bowl. Go ahead and sprinkle those with a good amount of salt.
Okay.
What you're going to do is see how much liquid that has pulled off there. We want that liquid to be pulled off because it's going to we don't want our pie to be soggy.
Yes.
You can also take that, slice it in half, and squeeze out the contents, but this works really well.
Okay.
So we're going to work on our filling here. So this is mayonnaise.
Okay.
And this is one of those times when you want to use the good full fat mayonnaise, go all the way.
All
so
the
no
way.
fat-free mayonnaise.
Okay, no light, no.
Yeah, no summer body here. We're going to put a dash of hot sauce.
Okay.
And I love, use whatever varies with your heat preference, but I love the good smoky flavor of the chipotle, so that adds a good little depth of flavor to our filling. So that's about a cup of mayonnaise there. And this is half a cup of onions, of which I've chopped, and then put butter, olive oil on top of the stove.
Okay.
And kind of brown those up a little bit. Add that directly to your mayonnaise, and this is 2 tablespoons of chopped basil, 2 tablespoons of chopped chive, and then 2 tablespoons of chopped fresh thyme.
Ooh.
Now you can use dry, but you know, this is the wonderful time of year where we have all these wonderful herbs, and you can smell it already. It just really pops.
Are
in
those
that
from your
filling.
garden?
They are. Everything's from my garden here. It's been a hard growing season with all lack of rain.
Exactly.
So this is, and you can throw anything into this filling you want. This is a bit of tomato jam that I've made up just a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Throw that in your fridge. I'm going to add a little bit of that in there too, because that's just going to add that really good tomato flavor.
If you don't have tomato jam, what would you? Is there anything you would recommend?
Yeah. Anything.
Okay.
I mean, you can throw
Okay.
in, like, even take a good bit of hot sauce. You could even throw in, like, a good pepper jelly or something in there. Really good,
okay.
too. So it's 3 cups of sharp cheddar cheese.
Okay.
Go ahead, throw that in your filling. I'm going to reserve some for the top of our pie.
Okay.
So mix that up really well here. And we're going to layer that into our pie crust. So I'm going to get you to help me here.
Okay.
So this is just a store-bought pie crust. You can make your own pie crust, too. This is deep dish. And what I've done here, this is a good trick. If you want to make this look like it's homemade, take a fork and just go around and kind of smush it down the edges, and that's going to make it look like you've really worked hard.
You've worked so hard all day.
So take a little bit of that filling and spoon that directly into the bottom of your pie dish.
Okay.
And if you'll start layering our tomatoes here, and you'll do almost like a lasagna.
Okay.
So think layer your tomatoes, and I'm going to help you out.
Yeah, because I'm going one.
We're racing of time here. And these are, depending on the size of your tomatoes, this is 4 or 5, and these are kind of small, so I think I used about 6 tomatoes here.
And
So
we have 2 minutes left, our producer said.
Oh,
so we're-
perfect.
we're
We got
doing
plenty
great.
of time. So go ahead and do a good sprinkle of cheese on top of that.
And another layer?
And another layer here.
these
Now, I'm going
ready?
to tell you, deep dish is the best way to go. You can use a regular size pie shell, but the thing about that is you really want that good layered effect. You really want it to bubble up and be really good.
Okay. Am I doing this right? With
Oh, you're
the-
doing perfect. Absolutely. Another tip too is if you are gardening. I know this year I've had a bit of problems with blossom end rot because we had such a dry season with my
Yes.
tomatoes. So this is a good time. Say if you have tomatoes that have a little bit of bruising or something on them, use those tomatoes for your tomato pie. Just cut the
okay.
bad parts off, because you'll never know. Because I mean, who knows?
They're in the pie.
Yeah, with all this good filling. So we're going to use the rest of our filling here.
Okay.
And if you
So you end with the filling on top.
and we're
and
going
more
to do
cheese?
another layer of tomatoes, and then we're going to put our cheese.
Okay.
And if you are, say, having a good summer party, and you've made your own pie crust,
Yes.
take a muffin tin, and you can make little mini heirloom tomato pies too.
Oh,
So you would
yeah,
just roll that
totally.
out, put that in the muffin tin, and then you would layer it just like this, but they're going to be little small portions that are going to be perfect to feed a crowd.
I feel like I've cooked today.
You have, and it just smells like summer in
Yes,
here too.
it does.
So don't skimp on the cheese here on top,
Okay.
because you really want that extra bit of cheese, because I mean you just can't go wrong with that.
Just dump it all in. I
And you
love
can
it.
use a mixture of cheeses too, depending
Okay.
on your preference. So anything from Gruyere to white cheddar works perfectly too.
I
So
like
and you
that.
can use like a Colby Jack mix too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of basil here. And do you know the proper technique to cut basil?
I don't.
So take your leaves here, and this is something you want to do like directly before you're going to serve it, because as you know, basil kind of tends to turn brown.
Mm-hmm.
So what you do is take your basil, take the leaves off, and kind of roll them up in a ball. ball like that, and then take your knife and just cut them into ribbons. That's going to reduce, if you chop this, it's going to bruise them really bad.
Okay.
So this helps with that bruising. So we're going to take our basil here, fresh basil, sprinkle it on top.
It smells so good.
You can sprinkle fresh chives on top too. And you are going to put this in a preheated 375 to 400 degree oven. You're going to want to cook it for 30-35 minutes. You really want a good kind of crispy edge on your pie.
Okay.
And then you also really want that good bubbly cheese on top. And you know, what I suggest to do is once you take that directly out of the oven, let it sit for, you know, a good like 15 to 20 minutes. What that's going to do is that's going to allow it to cut perfectly and kind of let everything marry together, and then you're ready to go.
I'm excited. All right, we're going to come back and check it all out as soon as we wrap up Good Day Alabama, so stay with us after this break.